Okay, where to start? I assume I understand everybody here is new to uh, college courses. So so this is going to be a, a bit of a culture shock, I guess. So it's my job to explain what the expectations of the course are, where to find things, and when things are due, except we've got a little bit of leeway um, with due dates because of the beginning of the semester snafus. And you can stop me at any time if you have a question. Okay, that's no problem. All right, so I understand you have a big screen TV there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I'm going to do first is share. I'm going to share my browser. Let's see. Here it is. Let's see. I've got another student trying to come in. That's not one of ours, I don't think, is it?
Ours should
Yes. Yes, that's Megan.
be.
Yeah, let me let Megan in. Okay.
That's good. Megan is one of our morning kids, so that's great.
There you go. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to continue with sharing my browser. There we go. Does everybody see my browser? Okay. So what I need to do is you'll need to go to the newriver.edu landing page. So if you're not familiar with it, here's the address up there. You just go to that landing page, and you want to go to the login portal, which is right here, My New River. Now my cursor turns into a little hand with a finger. Is that big enough for you guys to see? Because I'm going to be pointing here and there on the screen.
And you guys talk. Dr. Blah, this is Rosemary that's talking. We talked on the phone the other day
Yes.
about these students and their anxiousness, but I think none of them are this quiet by nature. I know a lot of these kids. I think once they feel a little more comfortable, they'll speak up. So I'm going to nudge them along.
And
Okay.
we got WebAssign codes. We're putting them in right now.
We're putting in the codes as we speak.
For okay, WebAssign is for the physical science class.
Yeah, it's Cengage Unlimited. That's what I meant. Cengage
Yeah.
Unlimited codes. We have them right now.
So we can use it wherever we need. So that's a good thing.
Okay, I'm gonna show you how to register for it in just a minute. So you go into My New River here. Now this is going to have a lot of stuff on it that yours won't because I'm faculty, but you should look for this D2L. This is Brightspace, our learning management system. And once you've logged in, it'll ask you for your name and password. Have they told you how to do that?
You want to help put your name and password in? Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So once you're in, click on D2L. And it will only show you the courses that you're registered for. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to change myself to a student. So a lot of the stuff, let's see, can I do that? No, I can't do it yet. Hold on a second. I need to call up a course first. Let me call up your course. Go to this little waffle. That waffle. Or you can scroll down. You can scroll down and find your course here. But I like to go to the waffle. It's just quicker. And yours is going to be CHEM101, but it's not going to be, well, this is not going to show up on yours. So all you need is CHEM101. It's 17422 is the course registry number. And click on that. And that'll open up the Brightspace course. Now I think I can become a student. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to show you, and this is the only thing that the students will see is what we're going to show you now. Do you guys, in your school work, do you use Brightspace?
No, we have Schoology as our learning management system.
Okay, so I'll point out some things here too. This blue strip across here is called the mini bar. And this is where you can find everything you need. Of course, if you scroll down, you're going to find maybe a welcome or two and some other things. Maybe upcoming events might be there. There's also a tutoring service. This person, Barry Pine, tutors on Zoom for physical science classes, chemistry, physics, and physical science. And these are his days and hours. All right, so he's in the evening, and this is his Zoom ID right here. So you just need to know how to get into Zoom and use that ID. I'll have to show you that too. Okay, so back to the mini bar. Let's start with the class list. If you need to send a message to anybody in the class and you don't want to go through the college directory to find people, this is where you go. Go to the class list, and you can, if you click here, it'll highlight everybody, and you can broadcast a message to the whole class. That's what I do when I have something important to tell the class. Or you can select individuals. If you just want to send me a message, just click on it, and then go up here and click on email, and then you should be able to send me a message. You won't be able to receive messages here. You have to go into your email client to do that. And communications in New River are through your New River email address. Okay, and it varies somewhat, but it's usually the first initial and the last name at newriver.edu. They should have given you all that information when you registered. You know, what is your email address? And that's where I want to communicate with you. So the lesson there is at least once a day, go in and check that email address for messages. Now, there may be days and days when you don't get a message, but you don't want to miss one. So be sure and check it at least once a day. Okay, let me check something else here. Teaching, oh, good. They did put Danielle and Leslie both as teaching assistants. So that means that you two can access all the information in the course. If you need to go look at the students, if the students are concerned about a grade, you can go look at it yourself. And then you can contact me too, but you will have access to all the information that the students do. Let's see, in this class, assignments will only be extra credit. So here we have extra, well, I don't have the, all right. I hadn't planned on doing the crosswords for this class because it's just too much load, but you will have these extra credits, and I'll show you where they're located. You can get to them from here and complete the extra credit from here, or you can do it from the content selection.
Dr. Bly, most of them have already finished chapter 1 and 2 crosswords. Because we were able to see that without the Cengage Unlimited. So most of them have already done the first 4 assignments.
Okay, in that case, then we're doing crosswords this semester. And those are extra credit also. If you're wondering how much they're worth, the crossword extra credits, when you average all of them together, they're worth an exam grade. Whereas these two, 50 ways to name your compound and getting to know the periodic table, those occur for exam 1. And together, these two averaged together are worth half an exam grade. I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into the course and I show you where the syllabus is and all that stuff. So put that in the back of your mind for now. So everything else you can find under content. So we'll go to content. And let's see. It's going to remember where you were the last time. That's why it showed that module there. To fix that, you just click on Table of Contents and then click on Start Here. Okay. Now, you'll want to know, we'll come back to that homework in just a minute. Let's see, syllabus, here we go. Inside this module, we have syllabus for the course. We have my schedule, which is, everything here, all the documents that you're going to use are in PDF format, right? Adobe Acrobat PDF version. So what you'll need is a PDF reader on your computer. And I've got a link here for free PDF reader. There it is. So you just click on that and it takes you to the Acrobat site and you can download the free PDF reader. When you install it, be sure to deselect any added stuff that they want, junk that they want to install along with it. Otherwise, it's going to put it on your computer. So always be careful with free stuff like that, whether they sneak junkware in. But if you have that, then you can read any document that is in the course. Okay, so here's the syllabus, right? Let's see. Why don't I go, if you need to connect with me during office hours, and I'll show you the office hours in a second, you just click on that link and assuming I'm not taken away for some other reason, I'll be there zoomed in. My schedule is here. Right, so you can see where I'm going to be when. Right. Monday through Thursday, I'm on Raleigh campus. Okay. And these are my office hours in that amber color with yellow highlights. So I've got long office hours on Monday afternoon and evening. And then I've got 2 morning sessions, Tuesday and Thursday, and then another afternoon on Wednesday. The sessions on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm actually in my office and Zooming at the same time. The one on Monday, I'm Zooming only. So I usually Zoom that one from home. Okay, this is the only face-to-face class I have for New River, is the other CHEM101. The not the dual enrollment, but the college students. On Fridays, I'm kind of hard to get hold of because I'm in Logan teaching a couple of classes for Southern West Virginia Community and Technical College. So the best times to get me are Monday through Thursday. Now you can contact me on the weekends, right? But I'm not zoomed in at these regular times. If you need to, either individually or as a group, if you need another Zoom session, then all we have to do is coordinate our schedules, and I can set up another one just like this at any time that's convenient for both of us. Okay, that's my schedule. Let me back out of this. Let's see. Yeah, so we have breadcrumbs here at the top. Sometimes you've got breadcrumbs, so I can go back here to syllabus. And here's the syllabus. You probably already have a copy of this, and I hope you've had a chance to look at it. I'll just point out the highlights. Let's see. Here's my office number. My telephone number is here. And if you call that number and I'm not here, it'll take a message and it'll convert that message into a audio file and send it to my email. So I get them pretty quick. But if you're in a real big hurry, there's my cell phone. And let's see. Well, it's not behaving. There's my cell phone. Best way to use my cell phone is to text me. So that if I happen to be driving, I can at least look and see that somebody's texting and I can get back to you pretty quick. There are my Zoom office hours again, and some other stuff that we have to put in there. Let's see. Now that's not right. Class time location. That must be from my other class. Okay, I need to make that correction. This class is purely web. It's all online. And that's a mistake. That shouldn't be there. This is actually my face-to-face class. You know about the Cengage, right? So you got numbers for a Cengage, so you can register. If you want a hard copy, then this is the textbook. But Cengage Unlimited will give you an electronic version of the textbook. And the nice thing about electronic textbooks is you can search them. But if you're like me and you like the feel of paper, right? I have hard copies of every textbook I've ever had from high school on. I never throw any of them away. And that's the text and the version. You can buy a used copy of the 10th edition, or you can buy a 9th edition and it'll work just fine, maybe for $3 or $4, if that's what you like to do. It's personal preference. The next things are learning outcomes, and we put those in there for assessing progress of the class later. It has no bearing on your grade. No point bearing on your grade. It does have a bearing because they're in there, but what you really need to look at for what's your score going to be, it's this little table right here. I operate on a 10-point scale, right? If you got 90 points on any activity or higher, you got an A. If you got an average at the end of the semester that's 90 or greater, you got an A. And we go 10 points down from there. Okay. What does each activity, what's the weight of each activity? That's a good question. The chapter exams, when you average all of them together, they make up 65% of your final grade. There is a final exam, and it's worth 15%, which is essentially 2 exams worth, 2 chapter exams. And then the homework is worth 20%. Now, if there are any extra credits in there, they just add to your score. The first exam has no bonus questions in it, but every exam after that has bonus questions. And the way the bonus questions work is when you take an exam, there are a certain number of points that are in the required section. So you have, say, let's just make something up, say 87 points. Right? That's the total number of points you can get in the required section. And then there's a bonus section, and let's say the bonus section has 20 points. That's possibility. So if you get, say, 80 points out of that, and you get 10 points out of this, and that's 90 points, and I divide them by this score right here, 87. So you can see it's possible to get more than 100% on exam 2 through the end of the semester. The only reason I don't do bonus points on the first exam is because all of that information is absolutely essential. If you haven't mastered chapters 1 and 2, then the rest of the course is going to be difficult. So I want you to be sure and master all the material in chapter 1 and 2, and then we can move to the bonus scenario later. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to point out highlights here. Let's see. All that's required stuff that we have to put in our syllabi. Let's see. Okay, course materials that you're going to need besides Cengage Unlimited. You're going to need a calculator. If you don't already have one, you don't have access to one, you need a calculator that'll do those functions that are listed. The only reason I put those functions in there is just to be sure that I've got all my bases covered. If you buy a calculator or you have a calculator, access to one that says scientific on it, it will have all of those functions. So you don't have to look for each individual one. What you do have to do is once you have the calculator, learn where all the functions are and learn how to use them. Okay, since this course is web-based, in order to take the exams, you're going to need a web camera and a microphone for Respondus Monitor. Now, if you're always going to take the exams in that room that you're in now, then that's probably no issue. You've got laptops there, and I don't know a single laptop that doesn't have a web camera built in, because the Respondus Monitor is going to be watching you, and Lockdown Browser is going to take the test and lock you into it until you're finished. That's the whole point. It's a proctoring system. There's the outline of the course, regular exams. Talk about those here. Now, I shouldn't say 14 exams. You've only got 7 exams. Okay, I need to do some modifications of this syllabus because it looks like it's a bit off. Let's see. All exams are in Brightspace. There's no password. So when you go into when you enter the exam in Brightspace, it's not going to ask you for a password. If it asks you for a password, then there's a mistake and I need to know about it. When are the exams due? Well, typically the day that's on the schedule, I'll show you the course schedule in just a minute. The exams are due by 5 minutes before midnight, because that's the latest I can set it on that day. And penalties are mentioned here, but don't be concerned with the penalties right now, because we're already behind and I'm not going to assess penalties until everybody's caught up. Okay. Now, there's a time limit. I say a time limit on the exams, but it does not automatically submit when you exceed that time limit. So if you need more time, just go ahead and take it. I don't want time limits to be to pressure you to make bad choices. The time limit is in there just to let me know, am I giving you enough time? And if I see a bunch of students that are past the limit, right, then I know that I need to reassess the exam. So it's more for me than it is for you. There's the homework, and we'll talk about that a little more. I've got an appendix on that one. I didn't want to put a whole bunch of stuff into this part of the syllabus. The appendix will come later. Okay, and then there are bonus and extra credits, and we talked about those a little bit. Okay, here's the schedule. All right, you'll notice that I've got columns here. There's the day and the date. Of course, there's the activity for that day. Now this would typically be what I would do in a face-to-face environment, right? So these activities are suggestions, right, to help keep you paced in the course. The exam dates are the same exam dates that I give my face-to-face class. Like there's today's August 31st. We had an exam this morning in that class. But like I said, I've suspended those deadlines temporarily until we get everybody caught up. And the exam, of course, is going to cover Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. They're the titles. And then I also put this other column on the side, which parallels the activities in the laboratory course, the CHEM103, right? Just so that you could see what's going on at the same time. And it also helps me schedule my face-to-face class, because Um, uh, I don't schedule lab exercises on the same day as an exam. It's just too much. So that helps me keep things straight also. And we'll talk about these when we go into the lab course. So I just pointed those out to as a point of interest. Okay. So what you'll need to do is for each of these topics, there is a lecture video that I've recorded for each one. And then I've also scheduled a review so that we can actually learn a lot more during the review than you do during the lecture. Lecture just introduces the material. The review is there for reinforcement. Right, so there's a video there also. And these lecture and review videos, what I'm trying to do is I'm taking my face-to-face class and I record everything in there and then process the video so that I can upload it to YouTube. And then I put the link into Brightspace and you connect with YouTube. So unfortunately, I'm not monetized in YouTube, so you're going to see commercials in there too. Just bear with them. So that's where those videos are coming from. There are older videos, there are archived videos in there if you want to look at those ahead of time. But if you wait until the class, the face-to-face class has met, then you'll get the most current one. Okay. So let's see. The pattern is the same all the way down, and then there's the there's Thanksgiving recess. I put other dates in here that are not part of the course, just to give you an anchor points. We know when Thanksgiving recess is going to be. We know here's the last day to withdraw with a W. Let's see. I don't know. Did I put? No, I didn't put Monday's holiday. Right. Right. Monday's a holiday also. I left that one out. Okay. And they're going to be a review video for the final exam also. And this is final exam week at New River. I understand that your semester runs a little longer than ours. So deadlines, I'm probably going to have to be real flexible on deadlines. And as long as we get done before Christmas, we should be okay. Let's see. Now, when I report final grades to the registrar, I'm going to report all my college grades, my college students' grades by that date. But I understand from Roger that I can leave yours open and not put a grade in there, and it will sit open until I've gotten everybody's work in and assigned a final grade for everybody. So technically, we can go past that date for the final grade in this class. Okay. There's some course policies. I'm not gonna beat that one too hard. Let's see. Exam etiquette. When you're taking an exam on Respondus Monitor and Lockdown Browser, now I'm not sure. Are you guys going to take all your exams in the classroom?
Yes.
That's the plan. Okay. So I don't have to beat that horse anymore. I have to tell my college students that can take their exams at home, don't take your exams laying in bed or in your pajamas or underwear, right? Because you're on camera.
The only way that they'll test at home is if they're absent or something like that. So that is good for them to know. Don't take the test underwear.
Okay. Let's see. The only thing you're allowed to have when you're taking the test on Respondus Monitor is a scientific calculator. Bring your scientific calculator. And you can have scratch paper. And also, I'll show you where this is in a few minutes. In each one of the modules for the exams, I've got a separate document a PDF file that has useful information in it. And you're allowed to print a copy of that off and have it with you during the exam. You need to have a copy separate from the computer, because when Lockdown Browser does its thing, you're going to be locked out of all that other space around there, and you won't have access to the document. I've also enabled a scientific calculator that's built into Lockdown Browser in case you forget yours, leave it at home, or you can't have access. So there is a scientific calculator in the browser that you will have access to. You can also print pages that, as you complete them, you can print a page. The reason I do that is some of my students live way out in the boonies and their internet connection is not very reliable. So if the internet goes out on them, then I can reset the exam, but it wipes out all their answers. And if they print copies of them, then they have the answers there, and they don't have to go back and recalculate everything. They just put the answers back in. Because each exam, when you restart an exam, the questions are randomized. So your next door neighbor taking an exam may have similar questions, but they're going to be in different order. Okay. So I'm not sure how reliable your internet connection is there. It seems like it's pretty good because we haven't dropped out in this session yet.
It's decent. I won't say it doesn't go out, but it hasn't went out today. So
Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm not going to stop at that one because when we look through this, I'm going to point those things out as we go. Communicate with me by those methods, either email. You can call my office phone and leave a message if I'm not here. You can contact me by texting my cell phone. And one other way, when you go into your homework, right? We haven't gone into the homework yet. Maybe some of you have. But when you're in the homework, what you'll notice is that while you're working it, if you have a problem with one of the questions, if you're putting in what you think is the right answer and it keeps counting it wrong, that's usually when students contact me. And I either correct their misunderstanding, or I find an error in the program. That has happened too. Then there's a way in the OWL program, which is Cengage's product for this class. There's a place where you can email your instructor. And what that does is it takes the information from the problem question you're having and it inserts it into the email message, so that all I have to do is click on that message and it takes me straight to that question. And then I know exactly which one you're having trouble with. WebAssign does that also. They have a facility for emailing the instructor from within the homework product. There's my office hours. If you need to contact me and you're not in the classroom, then you just go to this, and be sure you have to have the Zoom app loaded either on your computer or on your phone or your tablet. And this is where you get it right here, this one that I'm trying to highlight. Once you have it loaded, then when you call it up, you just click join and it'll ask you for the Zoom ID. And this is my personal meeting ID right here in red. Okay. And use that during my office hours. Or if we schedule a separate meeting, sometimes I'll also use that one. But that's how you connect Zoom independent of the learning management system. Or you can go into your browser and click this one. And if you need Zoom loaded, it'll tell you it has to install. But if it's already installed on your machine, then it'll go straight to the and connect you to the meeting. Okay, now for the appendices. This appendix is how you access your homework assignments. In order to properly register for Cengage Unlimited, you have to do it from within Cengage using the link that I provide. And I'll go back and show you that one in just a second. And the first time you go in, it's going to ask you for you're going to have to create an account, actually, is what you do. Create an account. And if you do it correctly, it should recognize you when you're going in. Now, in your case, it may be special. You may have to input a code, right? And your proctor there will give you that code. Let's see. And I've got some examples here. So once you get into the homework, these are the types of things that you're going to see. I'm looking for some strange things. All right, this is how you take an exam in lockdown browser. The one thing, I don't care too much for Brightspace desire to learn as a learning management system overall, but it does have one nice feature. The first time you try to take an exam, it will test to see if you've got the latest version of the software that it needs. And if you don't, it'll ask you to install it or update it. And that's basically what these instructions say. It works well on Windows machines and laptops, Windows laptops, and tablets. I'm not real confident with Apple products, right? Some of my students use Apple products and they've had no trouble with it, but occasionally Apple will hiccup on you, right? It's been my experience over the years that Apple doesn't play well with others. So if you have trouble with Apple, that's when I refer you to, let's see, is it in here? No, it's not in here. I refer you to, I forget the guy's name, the CEO of Apple. Anyway, let me go back to show you where the registration link is. If you haven't already done that, then we need to get out of the syllabus now. Are there any questions about the syllabus at this point? Let's see. Let me go up here, follow my breadcrumbs back. I'm going to go back out to start here.
You guys do this with him. Make sure yours works. Because we think we did it right, but
Okay. There we go. Okay. So look down the left-hand side. And the first thing I put in here is our homework registration. So you click on that button. And the first thing you see is your contact. This is the account executive. This is my go-to person when I can't get hold of tech support. If I contact this person, John Sayall, then he will rattle some cages for me and get results. Okay, so you need to go down here, and John has also provided me with this link to a video, and this video link sort of walks you through registering for the OWL. But we're not going to go there right now. You can do that at your own leisure. For now, all you have to do is click on this thing, and it's not going to behave exactly like it will for you because it knows that I'm an instructor masquerading as a student. So I'm already registered, so it's probably going to take me straight in. Yeah, it's going to take me straight into the homework. Oh no, it's making me sign up. Okay, this may or may not work. Yeah, okay, so it thinks I'm not registered because I'm masquerading as a student, but it should ask you to open an account. And you would use your New River email address as your user ID. And then you just create your own password. whatever. In fact, I think the password can be different than the one you use to get into our website. So let me go back. Once you're logged in, then and set up your account, then you don't have to go back to this one again, because this will take you into the Cengage Unlimited and show you every homework assignment that's part of the course, unless you just want to do that, and that's perfectly all right. But I've set it up also that once you get into the individual modules, down here, module 1 would be the same, exam 1, module 2 is exam 2, so forth. What I've done is in this module, I've set up a link to the homework. Let's see, if it's too busy, then just go over here to collapse all, right? And that'll put everything, that'll shrink everything down, and then it's easier to find things that you're looking for. So the homework is going to be here. This module 1 homework, you can open up that little module, and these links, chapter 1 here, chapter 2 here, they will take you straight to the homework assignment. So you don't have to search around for it. And it'll also tell you when it's due. And of course, we've talked about due dates already, so you don't have to worry about those. These, you'll have archived videos there, right? And these are the links to YouTube. And there are a lot of them. I've been teaching this course for a while, so the older ones are not going to be very good quality. So go to the new ones if you want something that's high resolution. Well, while I'm here, there are practice tests in every module, right? So you just go in there, and you don't need Lockdown Browser for this one. They take you straight into the Brightspace environment without Lockdown Browser, and you can take these just like every other quiz, right? You just click on it, and then you go to start the quiz. And these are not graded for me, they're graded for you, so that if you want to drill these exercises, it will grade them for you and tell you which ones are wrong, and you can focus your attention on those particular ones. Okay, let me go back. There it goes. So back at the top, the reason I've stopped in this module now is because every module is structured the same way. This tells you which chapters it's referencing. Let's see, objectives. You can look at those if you want to. The PowerPoint slides, right? If you watch the lecture videos, then it may be good to have a set of these slides that you can look at while you're watching the video. And the PDF version is pretty good to do that. It comes up pretty quick because it's a small file, and you can print it off, or you can shrink it down and put it in one side and watch the video on the other. But actually, if you click on it, it'll come up in your browser probably. So if you want to load it up in your PDF reader, you need to click this caret, this down caret, and say download, and then load it up in your reader. Otherwise, you can call it up here, and it'll give you the preview file like this. There it goes. Those are all the slides that are in the lecture. Okay. The thing about the PDF is if you want to look at this independent of the video, then if there are any embedded animations or embedded videos in the slide set, in the PowerPoint slide set, they won't be here in the PDF file. So I've got a solution to that also. Okay, let me go back. Let's go back. And I've taken the slide set, the PowerPoint slide set, which you can watch here also. But if you click on this one, it's written in HTML format. That means it'll load up in your browser, and it has everything in it that the PowerPoints do. So you don't even need Windows, Microsoft Office. You don't need Microsoft Office to look at it. You just click on it. It comes up, and there it is. And then you just click down here to advance the slides. Okay. And if there's a video pops up, I'm not sure. Yeah, I think there is one here. So if you get to the video, let's see, where is it? There's animations. Okay. Let me see, I'm going to go faster. Let me use this one. I was trying to find a video to show you that it does work. No, I don't see it. I thought there was a video in this one. Maybe it's in the second one. It's in the second chapter, I think. Yeah, I believe it is. So that's what, actually, I've had to use that before when I couldn't get my PowerPoints to work in a classroom. I would call up that file and use it for my lecture. Okay, so here's the most recent lecture for chapter 1. I've recorded, I processed, and there's the link from my face-to-face class. And all you have to do is click on it, and it'll pop up with the video. This is something that I hope you didn't miss. Learn these element symbols. You need to learn the symbols for the elements if you don't already know them. And this will tell you which ones I want you to learn. As soon as it loads up, it's probably, no. Oh, there it is. Sorry, my mistake. There we go. So this is a periodic table. And notice that I've got red boxes around some of these elements. Those are the ones I want you to learn. So if a problem says phosphorus, you'll know that the symbol for it is P. Or if you see a symbol Fe, you know that's iron. You memorize those symbols. There are about 60 of them. So if you don't have a method already for memorizing things like this, flashcards work great. Make yourself a set of flashcards, 3 by 5 cards. Write the symbol on one side, name on the other, and just drill them. And you go through it with the symbol on one side, and you say, okay, that symbol means such and such. You turn it over, it's right. Put it in the right-hand pile. You get one sitting, you missed it, put it in the left-hand pile. And then you go back and take the left-hand pile, and you keep going until everything's in the right-hand pile. And then you grab the right-hand pile and do it again. And keep doing it until you get them all right, at least 3 times. Okay, I know that sounds like it's very tedious, but once you've got these symbols memorized, remember, these symbols are the alphabet of chemistry, right? You can't speak chemistry to anybody unless you know these symbols. Right, so that's why I've given them. The other thing about this that I'll point out is these little blue boxes. Right? Those blue boxes are highlighting elements that at room temperature and pressure are always written as diatomics. So there would be hydrogen in a reaction would not be that. It would be that. You would have 2 hydrogens, and sometimes we write them this way, linked together. But when you write them in a formula, or if you're reacting say hydrogen and oxygen, say oxygen is another one, it's diatomic, and that's going to yield water, H2O. If the word problem says react something with oxygen gas, and it yields a product, and you don't write it that way, then the equation that you write will never balance. Okay, so those are the ones. You'll notice that hydrogen is diatomic. Nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine is like an inverted L. Right? Those are all the diatomics. So that's what this periodic table is for you to know which ones I want you to memorize. Okay, so let me see. Let's see, I can close that one and go back. So keep an eye out for things like this. They're not, most of them are at the beginning of the semester, and later, any added documents I give you are personal interest. Okay, PowerPoint slides, we've done that. Here's the chapter 2 lecture. Here are the extra credits for this exam, right? Getting to know your periodic table, 50 ways to name your compound. Instructions come with each one, so we don't have to spend time on that. But I will do this. If you click on that one, say getting to know your periodic table, right? You're going to need a copy of that. So I would right click it and save the link as, right? And put it someplace on your computer, and then go to that one and open it up in your PDF reader. Then you can print a copy, because this is going to be handwork. This getting to know your periodic table, you're going to fill out a blank periodic table using colored pencils. Now, if you don't want to do it, that's fine, because it's extra credit. But I put it in here to give you practice and extra points at the same time. If you do it and you have the product ready for submission, right? You can't submit a hard copy in the internet. So you need to take a picture or scan it if you have access to a scanner. And for this one in particular, it's got 2 pages, one that you filled out and one with the instructions. I use the instruction page for grading, so include both of them when you take a picture. And then you go down here to upload, and that's where you submit it. Submitting things within Brightspace like this, wherever it says you have an assignment due and you upload it, that notifies me that you have submitted it, and then I can go in there and it doesn't get lost. I have students sometimes that find it necessary to send me emails with attachments, and I accept them because they have no other option. Some technical problem has prevented them from submitting them in Brightspace. But there's always the danger. I get so many emails a day that I'll lose their work. I just won't even see it. So that's a risk that you have to take if you're going to submit it by email. Okay. There's one other one, and actually, let's look at this other one also. This brings up a good point. Okay, so there's the document, and if I right-click and save it and then load it up in the PDF, we'll see it here, and there's a place for your name, right? I wouldn't try to fill this one out in the browser, because it may not let you save it. You should be able to save this document once you finish the work. Right, here are the instructions, and here is the assignment. And if it's a name, you want to write the compound formula. If it's a formula, you want to write the name. Right, that's 50 ways, and there are 50 of them here. And you put your answers down here in here. Right, so the nice thing about this one is you don't have to print a copy unless you want to and fill it out by hand and then take a picture. But you can fill it out and save the document and then submit that copy without going through the other steps. So once you load this up into your PDF reader and you try to put something in, let's see, what was the first one? It was lead 2 sulfide. Let's pick one that has a subscript. Let me see. Ammonium carbonate. All right, I'm going to give you this one. 11. Ammonium carbonate would be NH4 and then CO3. Let's see. I need to back up.
Had a bus. Go ahead and go.
Am I out of time?
Our bus kids are leaving. We'll still have some for about 10 more minutes.
Okay.
But our bus kids have to go because their buses will leave them and they won't get back to their home schools. So A few
Okay.
of them will go, but most of them are still here.
So I'll just keep talking and recording. How about that?
And they can watch whatever they didn't get to watch.
Yes.
Right.
So this one's going to have parentheses and a subscript of 2, and this one's going to have a subscript of 3. No, 1. I'm sorry, I don't need that. Carbonate. Okay, so these might need subscripts. We might need to subscript them. So what we would do is, I'm not sure if it's going to work inside this. No, it's not going to let me do it. But if you load this up in your PDF reader, then you click Control E, and it allows you to change these to subscripts, right? Because these are supposed to be subscripts. All right, let me move on then. Okay, back to module 1. Let's see if there's anything in, because all the modules are the same, and if I cover all my bases in one module, the rest of them look exactly alike. Here's a review. Here, a review documents. I do want to point this one out. This review document comes in 3 flavors. Well, actually 3 forms. There's the PDF form that you can use and drill just like you would in Brightspace exams or quizzes. But this one is the same one that I give my class in face-to-face. If you're short on time and energy, then focus on this review document. Okay, so print that off, and it looks just like an exam. So you can treat it like an exam. You can take it, use the key to grade yourself, find out where you're weak. And if you can't figure out why you got one wrong, the next place to go is worked problems. Right? This one is going to show you how each one of them is worked. I did this by hand. So chapter 1, number 1 in that review document, this is an explanation. Or sometimes if it's a calculation, that's what it would look like. Okay. All right. So that's review documents. Let's see what else is left. Then probably the exam is next. Okay, we go to the bottom here. Review, review, review. There's the exam. Now that's the review, excuse me. There's homework, archive videos, practice tests, and exam. Okay, don't worry about this textbook problem solutions. That's extra stuff, and we don't have time to talk about it anyway. So here's the useful information. This is the one you want to print out before you go into Lockdown Browser. So if you click on this and then go to the bottom, then you can launch Lockdown Browser and it'll take you into that exam. But if you don't have Lockdown Browser and Respondus on your computer, you want to download and install. Sometimes, periodically, I'll click on this one just to be sure I'm current, right? And it'll tell me if I've already got the latest version, right? Maybe I should do that now. Okay, so it's going to ask me to install. Right. Okay, let's see. If I'm missing anything here, troubleshooting, reader, syllabus, class schedule. I've got the class schedule here in a separate, so you don't have to dig through the syllabus to get the class schedule. Just click on that link and it'll come up here. Right, and so there it is. The lab discussion shouldn't take quite as long because we've already been into Brightspace and know our way around. Let's see. The first time you take an exam here, I think it's here. Yes. The first time you take an exam, click on the practice test. What that does is it grades, but the grade isn't important. What it does is it checks your equipment. Make sure that you're set up so that your equipment is working properly and you don't waste time the first time you go in to take an exam. Now, the first exam is not here yet because it's not released. It should be released by now because today's the deadline. I'm going to have to look at that and see what the problem is. All right, there should be an exam there for you to take. All right, let me make myself a note. Okay, so that's the lecture course, and if you want to see what your grades are, by the way, we don't have any discussions in the class. It's just that's too much. Right? We just have what's mentioned in the syllabus are the grading items, and we don't do discussions. So if you look for your grades, then let's see, we should see, here we go. We should see them listed like this. So there's extra credits. All the tests are listed here. Homework's listed there. You will see if you do any of the practice tests, then they will show here, but they don't go into your grade. I just want to emphasize that. The grading that occurs for these things are for your benefit only. Well, let me see. Those tests are not supposed to be there. Oh, yeah, they are. There they are. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm confusing myself. I don't understand why it's in two places. Okay, that's another thing I've got to look at. It's duplicated. Okay, there are the crosswords. And there's some more reviews. I think what's happened is I've imported a course in here on top of a course, so everything's duplicated. I'm going to have to go in and fix that so that you don't get confused. Okay, so now what we want to do is look at the lab. Let's see, Chem 103, it's going to be 103, 17454. No, it should be 423, 17423.
Dr. Blythe, they're sneaking out because the bell rang, but they will watch whatever you're doing right now. Whatever you're doing, they can watch that tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll process the video tonight, and let's see. I think what I'll do is load it into the 101 course and just put a link in there.
Okay.
Because everybody in the lecture is also in the 101 is also in the 101, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So they can find both the lecture discussion and the lab discussion in that video. Okay, so the layout here is similar. Only with this one, you won't have, there are no quizzes, no tests at all. What you have is assignments. These are lab reports. Right. So you have a first lab notebook check, and I'll have to talk about how I want the lab notebook set up. A final lab notebook check at the end of the semester. Then we have our exercises. I think there's 7 of them. Yes, 7 exercises. And that's it. That's all there is to this class as far as assignments go. So if we go into content, we have a similar layout. Let's see, let me do, let's see, let's click that one more time. Okay, that's good. There's my contact information, same thing. There's a blurb on safety. You can read that at your leisure, I think. Well, it says safety contract, but since you guys are not going into a lab, I'm not going to worry with the safety contract. Just read it and gather what you can from it in terms of safety, how to be safe in the lab. There's an introduction video here that may have a lot of the same information I'm talking about now. The lab exercise modules are at this location, and there they are stretched out 1 through 7. We'll come back to those in a minute. Okay, now the lab notebook. The I'm not going to go straight to the syllabus now because it's laid out the same way as the lecture syllabus. Just know that there's a grading scheme, and if you need to know the grading scheme, just go to the syllabus and it's laid out the same way. It'll tell you what each thing is worth. But I want to focus on this one, lab notebook and reports. This is where it's going to be the most difficult, I think, for high school students that are for their first exposure to college, a college course. The last fall, when I had the physical science class in the lab section for the physical science survey, all of those lab exercises were done by, most of them were done by simulations, and then you had a document that asked you questions and gave you information, and you filled out that document and submitted the document. We only do that for the first, let's see, I think it's the first 2 labs. We do it that way. Yes. The first 2 labs are like that. Those are what I call informal labs. But from lab exercise 3 on to 7, so 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 5 labs, you have to submit a formal report, and it has a certain format that's required. So that's what I want to emphasize now. In addition, you have to keep a lab notebook, and a certain type of notebook. Let's see, and there's a picture of that in the syllabus. I'm not sure if I've got, let me see, maybe this one will give us a picture also. No, this document doesn't, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Example lab notebook, here we go. So this is what your lab notebook should look like. Okay. We need a lab notebook that's quadrilined. That is, it's got squares right all over it. It's not the typical composition notebook that only has lines. This has graph paper on every page. Right? You have to get one of those. Walmart has them for $2.25. And to set up your lab notebook, the first time, that first lab notebook check, what I want to see is your name on the front, the course, which would be Chem. You don't have to write out chemistry. It's just CHEM, CHEM101, fall 2023, and your name. That's the front cover, right? Then I want you to go in, before you put anything else in there, I want you to number every page in the book. Let me get a blank one. Okay. Here. So I can show you what I'm talking about. All right. So this is the one that Walmart has on their shelves now. The cover is made out of some kind of material that doesn't like ink pens. So you might have to use a Sharpie on this one if you get this type of material. But notice that the first page in this book is right hand. So that's number 1. Number 2 is flip the page. Number 2 is on this side. Number 3 is on this side. So what that tells you is every right hand facing page must be an odd number, and every left hand facing page must be an even number. All right, you're going to go from 1 all the way to the end, numbering these in ink. And we use ink in lab notebooks, never pencil. Okay, so you got You label it to the back. I think in this notebook, there are 160 pages. So this last page should be 160. If you come along and you find yourself numbering even numbers on this side, stop. You made a mistake somewhere. Go back and find it. These should be all odd numbers. These should be all even numbers. Okay. That's that plus on the first page, right at the top, table of contents. Right. That's all you have to do for the first lab notebook check. So to submit it for credit, you take the lab notebook, and if you have a scanner, fine. Scan this page, scan the table of contents, scan interior pages, just a couple of them, and then scan the last one. Or photograph, either way. And show me that you've set up the notebook and it's ready to go. That's the first lab notebook check. And let's see, let's go back here. Let's see, there should be a place. First lab notebook check. It's not here. It's over in the lab modules, I bet. There it is. So this is where you go to submit your work. Let's see. Yeah, it still thinks I'm a student. So go down here and you upload your photographs. And when you upload, it will accept as many pages as you want. Right? So you drop as many of the pages as you want, unless you're able to. A lot of phones, if you have a phone and you want to take pictures, a lot of phones have an app that will take a series of pictures and convert them into a single PDF file. If that's the case, then you just have to figure out how to get that PDF file where you can upload it, right? Transfer it so that you can upload. That would be ideal. But if you have to submit images, then you could submit as many images as you want. I'll compile them from on my end before I apply a grade. So that's the first lab notebook check. The last lab notebook check, you'll do the same thing, except you will photograph or scan every page that has information on it. Right? That won't be every page in the book, because you'll maybe go over to like here, and then the rest of them will be blank. So all you have to do is submit the pages of all the information that you have put into the book. That's the last notebook check. Okay. Let's see. First day orientation. Let me see. Okay. Let's go back before we get into individual modules or lab experiments. Let's go back to a lab notebook again. After you set it up like that, and beginning with the third experiment, not the first and the second one, but the third one, then what you need to do is go in to the module and make a copy of the experiment. Maybe we ought to go back to the module 3. Module 3. Here it is. Waters of constitution and hydration. Go back to that module, and this is the exercise document right here. All right. This is the first exercise that requires a formal lab report. So you want to make a copy of this one. So I would right click it and save link as, and then load it up into PDF and print a copy. I'm just going to call it up here so we can talk about it. Right. So there's introductory material, and then there are instructions. Right. Notice this one has a line through it. We're not going to do that part. But there's a pre-lab question, right? I'll emphasize that in just a minute. These instructions are what you would use to perform the lab exercise in the lab. Since you're not going to be in the lab, then what you need to do is set up your lab notebook so that it has those instructions in the lab notebook. And then let's see. Okay, so let's go back. Yeah, let's go back. Where is it? Okay, I got to go back one more step. Sorry. Here we go. So once you set up your lab notebook to receive information from my demonstration video,
Yes.
what I've done is I've taken each one of these exercises, I've slapped a camera on my head, and sometimes my laptop off to the side and getting two streams, focused on the lab bench. And I perform the lab myself on the lab bench. And you can watch what's going on. And if something looks like it might not be easily visible in the video, then I'll emphasize that verbally. But you're watching that for observations and data, numbers, right? If I acquire numbers from that exercise, you want to be ready to put those in your lab notebook, just as if you were really there. But in order to receive that information, your lab notebook needs to be set up a little further for each exercise. So for your table of contents, you would write the name of the exercise under table of contents, just the name of the exercise and the page it starts on, whatever that page is. You don't have to say page such and such to such and such, just the page it starts on. And then you go over to that page and you put your title again, right? And in these lab notebooks, initially you only write on the right-hand side. And it's good to write double space so that if you make a mistake, you can correct it right there, right? If you write on every line, then where are you going to put your corrections? So write double space lines, and then everything goes on the right-hand side, and we reserve the left-hand side for huge mistakes, right? If you make a big mistake over here, you cross through it, put your initials or sign it, and then put the correction over on this side. Okay. Or sometimes you may want to draw a graph. You don't have space over here to draw a graph. So for the data that you have on this side, you draw a graph representing that data. And in fact, the first lab exercise is how to draw a graph. But back to the lab notebook. Okay, so what you want to do is set up your lab notebook so it's ready to receive information. And that includes the title, the introduction. You get that from the document. And anything referring to safety, right? You have a safety, and you put headings in here for each of these things, like introduction, safety, write something for safety. And then you have materials, right? What's going to be used in the lab. You write those down in a list. And then if you need, go to the next page. Then you write procedure. And you put your procedure, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you have a procedure here in one block and then another procedure in another block, separate them and designate them. And then once you get your procedure written out here, do this, do this, do this, then you want a section on data. Just write data and observations, and set up areas in here to receive your data. If you know from the procedure that you're going to need the mass of a crucible and the mass of the crucible plus contents and things like that, write them in there and put a blank out here to receive that information. Why am I so picky about that? Because if you know the procedure is going to give you these data, then and you put them in there to receive the data, and you're working through the experiment, and you come down here and you look up there and you see you got blanks up here with no information in them at all. Stop. maybe you missed something. Go back and see. If you didn't miss anything and you were supposed to set those aside or cross them out, then cross them out. Right? You didn't get any data for those observations. But you need to set it up for the data. Then you need a section called calculations. Right? If you crunch any numbers, then they go in that section. And all you need is enough space to do the calculations at this point, because you're not going to do those calculations until you have something to work with. And then finally, well, next to finally, you'll have a section on questions. Sometimes you have pre-lab questions, and you put a pre-lab question section, and you work them out completely before you even view the video. And then post-lab questions, sometimes we just call them questions. You have a section in here, and those, you leave enough space in there to fill that in, because you won't do those until after the experiment. And then finally, summary and conclusions, right? Summarize what happened during the lab, summarize results, and what does it mean? That's probably the most difficult part for any student the first time they try to do it, is what does all this stuff mean? Okay, so that's your lab notebook. And once you get it set up and ready to receive information, then you take your pictures of just that lab and you submit them right here, lab notebook pages. Once you submit them there, then I will see them. They'll pop up for me to grade. I will grade them. And if you've got everything you need, then that's 100%. If you're missing some things, then I'll downgrade them. As long as you don't drop below 80%, then the demonstration video will open up for you. Once the grade is recorded, then you'll have access to the demonstration video. Notice that the video is not, let's see, not here yet, right? It'll say demo, right? It's not there because there's nothing submitted for the pages. You won't see it until you submit those pages. Now, there is a pre-lab discussion here, right? So you're free to watch that even before you set up your notebook if you want. Actually, there are two of them. They must have occurred at different times. Oh, this is a document. Okay, here's a document, and here's a video link. Right, so those are extra things that can help you with this particular exercise. All right, let me go back to the notebook, lab notebook, and point out pages, prep, instructions. Everything I just told you about setting up your notebook is in this document. Right? So in case you didn't follow me too well, this is what you need to have in there before you submit those pages. Okay. Now let's see if there's anything else in here that needs to be done. This is a list of common errors in formal lab report writing. Right? These lab reports must be typed. Right? If you can't type, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. I don't accept handwritten reports. The informal reports, yes, those can be filled in by hand, but the formal reports are typed. The only thing that can be hand drawn is if you're required to put a graph in there. Then you can hand draw it, photograph it, and put the image, embed the image in your report, right? It's easy to do in Word. Word is a good place to go for word processing, and it will accept an image. You can embed an image in your Word document. Here's a rubric. I use a rubric to grade all formal labs, and this is what it looks like. I'm not going to bother you with it right now because I've got another one coming up that's more important. Like this one, example report. Okay, so let's call this one up. So I'm not going to leave you hanging. This is what a good report looks like. Okay, so here's the rubric. Right, it's on its side. And what you'll notice is that these are the points that can be awarded for each one of these categories. Right, the categories are down the left. I want to see all the sections that are supposed to be in the report are there. Spelling and punctuation are correct. Grammar is correct. I'll come back to that one in just a second because it's very important. Appearance, right? Is it completely typed? Is all the do you have your procedures set up with numbered and complete sentences, well organized? Is the data there in a format that's easy to find the numbers and understand what your discussion is about? Did you analyze the data with these conditions, right? And 12, of course, you want all circles on the left if you can get them. Okay, that's the highest points. Conclusions and summary. Did you include a conclusion and summary? And is it complete, right? Or did you just say, we did this and it was a lot of fun? Believe it or not, I've had students do that. And that's just wrong. Based upon everything I've seen in your report, do I think that you understand the scientific concepts that we're trying to teach here? And if you've got a firm grasp of all the concepts, then you get a 12. If you're pretty close, but I think you're maybe weak in one area or another, then maybe a 9. If you have very limited understanding, then you get a 6. If you have an inaccurate understanding, then you get a lower score. And if it shows that you don't know what is going on, then you get a 0 for that particular category. Okay. Now let's go back to grammar. When you write, let's say, your instructions in your lab notebook, you would say something like, at this point, you want to measure 150 milliliters of water in a graduated cylinder. Graduated cylinder. Okay, that would be in your lab notebook. It tells you what to do. If, on the other hand, you make changes, or you see me make changes in the video, then you need to note those in your book, right? So that when you write your report, you can say what was actually done, and the grammar changes for what was actually done. We use third-person passive, third-person passive past tense. So what that means is, for this step in the reaction, you would say 150 milliliters of water was measured using a graduated cylinder. See the difference? This is in the report. This is in your lab notebook. Now, I wouldn't write 2 here. This would be 1. This would be notebook. And this would be report. Okay? If you write it in this form in your report, then you get graded down, right? You get 6 points instead of 12. If, on the other hand, you take the printed instructions and you regurgitate them in your final report in exactly the same wording, it's easy to tell as an instructor. I can tell when you've done that. If you write it that way, then you get no points. Right? I don't want to see that. I want to know what was actually done. Now, this may seem like I'm being excessively hard on you, but the fact of the matter is, if you write a formal report and you try to submit it for publication at some time in the future, the reviewers are going to be looking for these things, right? What they're trying to do, peer review means your peers are reviewing your work to see if it's worthy of publication. And if you can't write a report that explains your position using real data from a bona fide experiment, then they're just going to throw your report in the trash. So I want you to learn how to do that. And it clarifies things. It really puts things in proper perspective in such a way that either you or somebody else, 6 months or a year down the line, they can take your report and they can go into the lab and duplicate your work. That's what we're looking for. The report and your lab notebook, right? When you're filling out your lab notebook, be sure that you've got as much information in there that you need to go in with this only, not the hard copy that I handed out, but this, and do that experiment over again. You can repeat every step. That's the amount of information you need in this book and in that report. Okay. So there's your sample report. And let's see. I want to be sure I'm not missing anything here. Instructions, common errors. Okay. I didn't want to have to do this, but several years back, I had a problem with plagiarism. And I gave my students the benefit of the doubt. I assumed that they really didn't understand what plagiarism is in scientific reporting, right? It's easy to determine plagiarism in, say, an English class or a history class, right? You just look for wording and information that's reported that belongs to somebody else and you're taking credit for it. Well, that's the same thing in scientific reports, except it may become a little more difficult to discern. So I wrote this document, and this explains what I consider to be plagiarism. Just whatever you do, make sure the report is yours. Right? Don't copy somebody else's work. You can bounce ideas off of other people, that's fine. But when you write the report, do it yourself, and you will have no trouble with plagiarism. This is a good one right here. I put this document together, and let me show you. In the sciences, it's kind of small right now, but you print off a copy. In the sciences, we use lots of symbols that are not on the keyboard. So you have two options. In the Windows, when you get to the point where you need a symbol, like say you need to put a delta, like a delta X, a change in the value of X. That's what delta means. Well, you don't have a key on your computer that says delta. So you can either go to the character map that's in Windows computers. I'm not sure what it is in Apple computers. Go to the character map, find your font that you're using, and go down and find the character and copy the character and paste it into your document. In about 5 or 6 steps, you can get there. With this, all you have to do is hold down the Alt key, and in the number pad, not the numbers across the top, but the number pad, type out the number that's next to the symbol, and it will insert that character in the position in your document. So when you're writing your report, you can save time by using these. Now, the left ones, the yellow ones, are Windows characters. The blue ones are DOS characters. That's grandfathered in. Sometimes they work better. The ones in green, I put those in there for the convenience of those people who are using Apple products. If you use an Apple computer, then these should work, but I won't swear to them. But the ones on the left, most of the time they'll work. Depends on the font. If the font is not compatible with these, then you might have to go to the character map after all. But if it works, then it'll save you some time.
No, if you need to email the roll, just let me know.
Okay, so let me go back.
Yeah, I always email.
I'm just about done, I think. Lab notebook. Okay. So each one of the labs
Yeah, I'll do that. All right, have a good one.
is set up, and each one of the labs also should have a discussion with it. This first one is an informal report. So there's where you get your document, and there's where you submit your report. And here's extra graphing paper so that you can draw a graph. You can use your own if you have it, that's fine. But if you need to print off graphing paper, there it is in a PDF format. This is an introduction. These two are introductions to graphing techniques. Okay, so you go in there and it'll explain what we're trying to accomplish with this lab. And I've also got one for, let's see, graphing techniques. Why does it only say 2? Hold on a second. Oh, okay. The second one, I actually go into the lab and conduct this experiment, laboratory techniques. There's the demo. It's already there because you don't have to submit your notebook pages for this one. It's an informal report, so the demo is already there. And you click on that, the demo will come up, and you can just watch it. Now, if you want practice filling out your lab notebook, but you don't have to submit it, then you can do that. You can fill it out for this exercise based upon that document right there, and fill in the information in your lab notebook if you want. Right? It's not required. Right? You just need a copy of the assignment, and it will have. I'll just call it up and show you. It will have places for you to write the information in. Right? So there's explanations here and here and here and here, and you come down to let's see, the first information you need to put in there is here. Pre-lab questions, right? Those you need to do those before you view the video, and you can get these from reading the procedure. When you do these calculations, this is based upon work that we've done in the lecture, learning how to use significant figures. So that's where this comes in. And then we start. Then we restart from the demonstration video. You'll have information here that you can put in. Okay, so that one you submit as an informal report. Okay, I think that's enough for now, actually. And if there are further questions, you can query your proctor, and if everybody has, a lot of people have similar questions, then it's probably more efficient to ask your proctor to gather all those together and contact me, and I'll work it out. Or we can have another session, whatever works best. Okay. All right. I think that's enough for now.
When
Right.
do you want them to shoot for having that first test and first lab done?
At this point, maybe make the first lab and the first test due on the day that we would normally, that the schedule says the second one's due.
Okay.
That should give them enough time to get into the swing of things, and then we can narrow the gap as we go.
Okay.
And eventually get to where we're back on schedule.
Absolutely. That sounds great. That's where we want to be, on schedule.
Okay, I'll process this video, and let me know if the students come up with any questions later, and we can do this again if necessary.